The old man who saved a cat but lost his wife. I found out about this story because I was on jury duty. I got one of those notices, show up at the courthouse. And darned if I didn't get selected. This is one of the 12 jurors. In this case, it turned out to be spousal assault. There was an old couple. They had been married for more than 50 years. And the old lady was charging the old man with assault. They had grown kids. The kids testified at the trial, and you could see they were kind of heartbroken. They loved the old man, and they loved the old woman, and they all testified there was no history of abuse. And the old lady, she testified too that there was no history of abuse. This is the only time, the one and only time the old man had ever done anything violent to her. It all started at a family Thanksgiving. The whole clan, as usual, they met at the old folks' house and had a great big family Thanksgiving. And in the middle of this, the old man wandered out in his kitchen and he heard meow. And he looked out in the backyard and he sees a wildcat. I guess it's just wandering around in his back porch. And he goes and he saws off some of that leftover turkey and he feeds the cat. Well, his old woman, she comes out and she sees him doing this. And she does not like cats. And she tells him, don't feed that cat. You feed a cat and it just keeps coming back. But the old man, he goes ahead and he feeds the cat anyway. Well, he likes the cat. So he goes and the next day he gets himself a cat dish and cat food. And he starts feeding the cat every day, no matter what the old woman says. Well, she says that animal is not allowed in my house. And he goes along with that. He feeds the cat every day, but he only feeds it there on the back porch, and the cat never gets to come inside the house. And that's the compromise that they agreed to. Well, one morning, the old man gets up, and it's raining. It is pouring down rain. We have serious thunderstorms here in the Midwest, and it can rain, sometimes 5 inches of rain in a couple hours. And there's not a dry spot on the back porch. And he sees that cat. That cat looks like a drowned rat, and it is clinging to his back door screen. And he can't stand it. He takes pity on that cat. He goes and gets a towel, and he, wraps the cat up in the towel. Now, down in the basement, he takes the cat down in the basement. And that's his area. That's his man cave. He's got his pool table down there and all his stuff. And he feeds the cat. He figures, he'll feed the cat down there underneath the pool table, and the old lady will never find out. She'll never be the wiser. Well, the old lady, she gets suspicious. I don't know. She doesn't hear anything, and something funny's going on, she thinks. And she goes out in the kitchen, and she sees it pouring down rain. She looks at her kitchen counter, and there's the cat food containers. But there's no dish, and there's no cat out on the porch. And she gets, oh my God, and the basement door is standing wide open. I told you, no cat in my house. And she goes marching down there, mad as hops. And he said, no, there's no cat. What are you talking about, cat? And she knows he's lying. And she bends down, and there's the cat. Well, she's furious. She goes to grab that cat. I don't know what she's going to do, but she's going to get that cat out of her house. And the old man, don't you hurt my cat, and he grabs the old lady, grabs her arm. And as soon as he does this, oh my God, and he lets go of her arm. But by then he's grabbed her. He's grabbed her hard. And the old lady, she is mad. She goes to the phone. There's one of those wall-mounted phones down there, and she dials 911, and she tells the cops, help. Well, the cops show up, 10, 15 minutes later, and the old lady tells them this whole story, and the old man, he does not deny it. And the old lady shows him her arm. There's on her wrist, there's kind of a red mark where the old guy grabbed her. And the cops take note of this. And, well, in Iowa, if you, spouse assaults another spouse, you spend the night in jail. And that's what happens to the old man. He spends the entire night in jail. And the old woman, she says, he's not coming back to my house. So it turns out the old man has a mother. His mother is still alive and lives there in town, and she's like 100 years old. And so ever since, the old man has been living with his mother. The really old lady, she's actually there in the courthouse. And she's a little grasshopper of a lady. So that's the case. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, guilty or not guilty? Well, in the jury room, we talk about it and we vote again, and we're deadlocked. About half of us think this case is stupid, and the other half of us think, well, technically it's assault. He grabbed her, and that's assault. And we tell the judge, we can't decide. We just can't get consensus. And he says, well, y'all can go home and think about it, and you can come back the next day because you're going to have to reach a decision. So we all go home. Well, we all come back the next day and we vote again. And now the vote is different. Now instead of 6-6, it's 10-2. Only 2 people still thought the old man was guilty. One of them was a woman, and she was, I guess I'd call her a cat hater. She hates cats. She was allergic to cats, and boy, she would never allow a cat in her house. And if her husband ever dared to do something like this, boy, there would be hell to pay. And another was a guy, and this guy, he told us he was a feminist, and he was very sensitive to women's issues, and the whole issue of assault he took very, very, very seriously. And so, 10-2. And we're all thinking, oh my God, we're going to be here another whole day. Well, there was one guy on the jury. He was the youngest guy in the whole jury. I think he was like 19 years old, and he hardly had said anything he was for not guilty, but he just hardly did any talking. And all of a sudden he spoke, and he spoke with passion. And he said, "This is indeed a case of assault, but it's not that old man assaulting that old woman. That old woman is using this jury to assault that old man. And I, for one, am not going to let her." And man, it was like a scene in a movie or something like that. And darned if that feminist guy and even the cat hater woman changed their votes, and we voted again, and it was 12-0, not guilty. Later that summer, I heard that the old couple got a divorce, 50 years of marriage, but it ended in divorce. And that's the story of the old man who saved a cat but lost his wife.